nation of Indians certainly have a deep-rooted history here in Western New York. Stories of their ancestors are here, and their culture, from ceremonies to traditions, is still very much alive.
But a huge part of their culture, the language, is dying. Channel 2's Andrea Marvin takes us to the Seneca territory, where you can see and hear efforts to save it.
The keepers of the Western Door are connected to the land. It's where their ancestors lived not long ago. And that way of life is being preserved starting at a young age. At this Faith Keeper school in Salamanca, kids are learning about Seneca tradition, from circle time to one-on-one lessons with teachers. You can see and hear young kids learning the Seneca language. And on the field in Gowanda, listen. And you'll hear those teachings being passed down. Gowanda Middle School 8th grade students have been announcing the varsity and junior varsity lacrosse games, all in the Seneca language. They are the first school district in Western New York to do so.
So this is, something to put the natives in a positive light, to help raise awareness. We are still here. Our language is still alive. We just got to take a few more steps to help it thrive.
Jackie Yellup is a Seneca language teacher and explains students announce goals, who assisted, and the score. Push to use the language that's taught in schools now more than ever.
Because we're losing it. We're losing our language. And I would encourage other students to take this class because we're going to need everything we can get to keep it.
Currently, out of the 3 Seneca territories in Western New York, there's only 30 elders left who speak the language fluently, compared to 10 years ago when there were 200 fluent speakers.
There's a bigger push to preserve the language because our elders are dying, and it's urgent.
Norma Kennedy is 85 years old and is one of the Seneca elders left.
I was immersed in it. My mother and father spoke the language, and whenever they had company, everyone in the neighborhood spoke Seneca.
But she remembers going to a one-room schoolhouse as a young girl on the Allegheny Reservation and being told in class not to speak the language. It was places like schoolhouses and boarding schools where Native American children were sent to be westernized. The Indian language started to become lost.
Some of them were disciplined because they spoke the Indian language. So they were told to forget it. And so they really tried to get the language out of us.
But now there's a cultural resurgence. Norma works with the adult language class. Elders are their main source of knowledge to acquire information.
We're like that bridge between them and our young children, and training adults in that process and working with the elder and learning how to be a teacher and then teaching the young kids is kind of our process that we want to try to stay on and maintain.
There's an effort to create a whole new generation of fluent speakers starting at a young age. And continuing on once students reach grade school. Seneca is offered as a second language credit in Gowanda and Salamanca up to advanced level 5. Through activities, students are learning basic phrases about food.
If I were to say like das hane ojike dat diosideko, that's like hand me the salt and pepper.
And color.
Okay, last one. What color is the corn?
In the class next door, students are learning basic words they would use in the community while doing things like shopping. The written language is also being taught to students through activities like this one. And to preserve the language, a written version is being cataloged.
Then you just hit translate and it just puts out the Seneca word.
Robbie Jimerson is working on a project. Helping develop a user-friendly computer catalog, allowing future generations to study and speak the language.
It's an online dictionary, so you'll be able to put in English word and then it'll give you the Seneca translation of it.
He is working on this with a linguist based out of California.
He's done all the linguistical work to it, and I've just kind of put technology to do like what manual process he's done.
There's over 1,409 pages of words that have been cataloged for a very complex language.
So for the word play, there's 74 ways to say it because it's unique because the when and the who goes into it.
Eventually, there will be an app for the iPad and Android.
Any way I can help out in a small way, so that's just kind of where I see this fitting in. You know, hopefully it'll help someone to learn, or or just expose them to the language.
Just always knew that's what I wanted to do, because it's part of who I am, it's my culture.
Because language is culture.
The main portion of our culture is our language. And if we don't have language, we really don't have a culture. We can't carry on ceremonies. We can't, do our daily living without our language.
A forgotten culture.
We had a generation of where we were told not to talk our language and to forget it. But now that they know the language, they will teach their children, I think, which is very good. And the language will continue, hopefully.
A culture that's connected to the land.
Our family stories are there, our ancestors in there. We talk about history. 200 years ago is nothing to us.
And if you drive down to Salamanca, you can see the written language being immersed back into the community, like with street signs. The Seneca version is written underneath the English. Also, they eventually want to label produce in the grocery store in Seneca. And we should mention many Native American languages are going endangered, so there are similar efforts with tribes across the country. Andrea Marvin, Channel 2 News.
Andrea, thank